like, he goes around, he hurts a group of people, and then they undo it. And then they just break something else, and then they undo it. I mean, you know, the fact that they fire people who protect the national, who are protecting nuclear weapons, and then have to hire them, and they do this over and over again, that's not government efficiency. You would fire an HR manager who had that level of incompetence, who fired all these people and then begged them to come back. So I don't think that's efficiency, and I don't think that's the government working well.
I mean, the amount of money that we spend at the federal government and the amount of explosion in spending from 2019 until today is unconscionable. The size of the government is unconscionable. Just 5 years. I'm just talking about the last 5 years. The explosion in spending and the explosion in the size of the government. That alone is enough of a reason for a president to appoint someone and to say, does the government have to be this big and does it have to cost this much? That's number one. Number two, every single American knows there is bloat, there is waste, and there is fraud. And they've been waiting for someone to come along and look for it. Yeah. And there is latitude and some political leash for people to find it. Even when mistakes are made, which Elon himself has acknowledged, we may make a mistake, but you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater here. If they make one mistake, you can't call off the effort because the effort is worth saving the country's fiscal future.
We learned 40% of the phone calls that they get are from fraudsters.
40%?
That's right. Almost half.
Yes, and they steal people's Social Security is what happens. Is they call in, they say, they claim to be a retiree, then they convince the Social Security person on the phone to change where the money's flowing. It actually goes to some fraudster. This is happening all day, every day, and then somebody doesn't receive their Social Security. It's because of all the fraud loopholes in the Social Security system.
How do you reassure people that what you all are doing is not going to affect their benefits?
No, in fact, what we're doing will help their benefits. Legitimate people, as a result of the work of DOGE, will receive more Social Security, not less. I want to emphasize that. As a result of the work of DOGE, legitimate recipients of Social Security will receive more money, not less money.
All right.
I want to emphasize that point and let the record show that I said this, and it will be proven out to be true.
As you saw from the intro, you saw kind of the liberal, CNN debating the fact of DOGE, right? DOGE is very popular right now, in my estimation. I believe that if a lot of people got the time to sit down and actually talk or see DOGE, there'll be a more understanding of what they're trying to do. And I agree with Scott Jennings' framings of this thing is that you ain't always going to do something perfect, but don't let the perfect get in the way of the good. And this is a good thing that's happening, that we're actually digging into the system. We're actually poking the system. We're actually seeing how it responds. You take one thing out, you see a hole somewhere else. You're like, okay, I guess this is for this. You start building an understanding of this. And Elon Musk put himself on record saying that you'll get more Social Security, not less, if you are a valid Social Security recipient. Because of all this fraud that's going on in the background, a lot of people trying to scam the system, try to take advantage of the system, trying to live off the government teat. They exploit things like Social Security. They exploit things like Medicare, right? You saw what happened with the PPP loans that during COVID, how many people went to jail for that? Because people were, there's people that are actively looking to take advantage of government stuff, programs to make their lives easier, right? They do the same thing with welfare. It's a common thing known in my community. I'll leave it at that. But the Democrats are sitting here pretending that, oh, no, these things are efficient, like Rokana here.
In fact, I just tweeted something out that said that fraud, waste, and abuse is probably the biggest bipartisan thing that we have, that it's not specific to what my policies are or what my politics are. If it's being levied by the federal government, it probably is inefficient because there's no reason for it not to be.
Well, there's certain things that are not inefficient. Medicare, Social Security,
what?
Large parts of Medicare.
Not inefficient. Come on, are you out of your mind? Medicare? And I'm not saying it's Medicare's fault necessarily. Look around and look at the way Medicare is gamed out by the people that benefit from it, or Medicaid. Medicare Advantage might be one of the things that we're talking about, right, Ro?
Medicare Advantage, I agree that they have actually had higher billing for people who are not as sick. But when you look at Medicare, the administrative cost of that program is far, far lower than private insurance. And most people who are on Medicare are pretty happy with Medicare. And that is actually a place where government is more efficient than the private sector. So I do think there is a huge role for government. And you look at the Medicaid cuts that they're proposing, that in my town halls, that was the biggest thing people were concerned about, that they may not be able to get care for their kids or for their sick parents.
I find it laughable that Rokana sit here and pretend that there's no, the Medicare isn't inefficient. That many people, like these fraudsters who try to take advantage of Social Security, calling Social Security, like 40% of calls for Social Security are by fraudsters trying to redirect funds into their accounts. You don't think the same thing's going on with Medicare? You can say, oh, Medicare isn't wasteful. Medicare is efficient, like Social Security and Medicare. They're very efficient. And when the guy calls out Rokana saying, oh, wait, what about Medicare Advantage? How about the fact that Medicare, when people get the same treatment compared to private, they get charged more compared to the private insurance? And Rokana stumbled and tried to make this argument that, oh, overall, it's less expensive. Cap. And these are the kind of things that we know from since the beginning of government, that there's people who are willing to cheat, steal, and scam their way into getting government resources to live the easy life. We saw it with the PPP loans. All these people online, on Black whatever, or these influencers that were going on saying, look at my lifestyle, look at my business, look at all these cars I bought. Then you find out they're taking out PPP loans on a fraudulent business, on a shell company, and they get charged with jail time. We know people like this exist. And what makes me a conservative is sometimes the assumption of conservatives are we create a law in more of a negative, pessimistic way. Hey, how we can create a law where people who are bad actors can't take advantage of this law. While liberals say, how can we give more access to people having advantages to this government program? But the problem is that opens it up to what? Fraudulent people, bad actors who will use and abuse the system. And this is why I'm saying, show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcomes. When you look at the outcomes, a lot of these programs that the Democrats put out, which was like the PPP loan, put a lot of people in trouble, right? Because they probably said something, people misconstrued it. But at the end of the day, people always want to go and take advantage of something because it's easier to steal money than to make money.
Not less. I want to emphasize that. As a result of the work of DOGE, legitimate recipients of Social Security will receive more money, not less money.
All right.
I want to emphasize that point and let the record show that I said this, and it will be proven out to be true. Let's check back on this in the future.
So Washington Post, the Social Security Administration website crashed 4 times in 10 days this month because the servers were overloaded, blocking millions of retirees and disabled veterans from logging into their online accounts. Freaked people out. Is that going to change?
Yes, we're going to make sure that the website stays online.
Yeah. I mean, but is it a result of going in there or something you're doing?
No. The amount of issues that...
Bruh, look, this is one of the benefits of living in a big family, and you see, older people and how they get there. This is a problem that my wife's abuelo has been dealing with. Oh my God, bruh. He hates calling for Social Security. He hates making the line for Social Security because of the fact that it has so much issues. This is way before DOGE even was a conception of an idea. People have been dealing with this stuff. And I love it, though. The left-wing framing is they try to pretend that this is something, oh, look, DOGE is causing problems in the government. Government been had problems. What you talking about? This is a hilariousness. This is a way of Democrats to avoid accountability because they're the ones who push for more government stuff. And then you find out the government stuff isn't working, isn't effective, and actually, in most cases, make things worse. But let's continue.
Or the Social Security system are enormous. As an example, there are over 15 million people that are over the age of 120 that are marked as alive in the Social Security system.
And that's an accurate figure.
Yes.
Correct.
15 million.
Correct. This has been something that's been identified as a problem, again, pre-existing problems since 2008 at least, from an IG report.
I told you. My grandma was complaining about, and the funny part is, for instance, there's stories of women saying that they went on food stamps or something, and because they were falling on hard times, and they called back these departments saying, hey, yeah, I don't need food stamps or this anymore. And the operator on the phone trying to convince them that they can still use it. They still need it. They need to keep it on. Like, imagine that. Why? Because of the incentives in the government. The government's incentivized to spend money. And if it see that, oh, look, your department has a surplus. Next month, you lose. Okay, so you was able to save $2 million welfare department. Okay, next year you get $2 million less in funding. So people use this like, oh my God, we need to justify more spending. We need to justify maintaining our budget. And this is how you get waste, fraud, and abuse in the system. And it's common sense. But the problem is that a lot of these bureaucrats in government, since it's not their money, they're less incentivized to be responsible with it. It's always easy for someone to be wasteful with other people's money. It's harder for someone to be wasteful with their money. And that's the point. And that's the problem in government right now. But I digress. I'll let the video play out.
So there were some great people working at the Social Security Administration that found this, 2008, and nothing was done. And so 15 to 20 million Social Security numbers that were clearly fraudulent were floating around that can be used only for bad intentions. There'd be no way to use those for good intentions. And so one of the things the DOGE team is doing is carefully and very methodically looking at those and making sure that any fraudulent ones are eliminated.
Brad Smith, working at HHS, and obviously another element is Medicare and Medicaid, NIH. What are you finding?
Yeah, well, I'd say there's a couple things we're really committed to in our work at HHS. Number one, making sure we continue to have the best biomedical research in the world. And number two, making sure, which President Trump has said over and over again, that we 100% protect Medicare and Medicaid. But there's a lot of opportunity. So if I take NIH as an example, today, if you're an NIH researcher and you get a $100 grant at your university, today you get to spend 60 of that and your university spends 40 of that. The policy that we're proposing to make is that you get to spend 85 of that and your university spends 15. So that's more money going directly to the scientists who are discovering new cures. Another example at NIH is today they have 27 different centers. They got created over time by Congress, and they're typically by disease state or body system. There's 700 different IT systems today at NIH.
And you wonder why that, recently RFK, Donald Trump, they laid off 10,000 people from HHS, the CDC, FDA, a lot of layoffs there. And the liberals are outraging over that. But that's what it means to be more efficient. You can do less with more. You're more productive with less. This is the incentive that we're bringing into the White House. And it's the benefit to the American taxpayer is, hey, less of your taxes get cut. My wife just came to me and she said, hey, did you hear what Trump said he's going to do? Or some rumors or whatever. I don't know how she came to this information. I'm still sussing it out myself. But apparently Trump is planning to, as part of a tax return, he's going to return 70, it depends if you're jointly or filed merit, but $5,000. Here you go. Here's a tax refund. Sorry for wasting your money. That's an incentive. Americans are going to go like, okay. And I'm thinking this is the long-term strategy. This is why I'm a big favor of this. A lot of libertarians are going to be like, no, use it to pay off the debt. But a lot of people, end of the day, we inherited this debt. We didn't put ourselves in this problem. If you want to pay, hey, use your $5,000, give it back to the government then. But I think this is a good incentive structure to establish long-term habits in the voting population. But, that's a difference of opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section.
700 different IT systems.
IT software systems. They can't speak to each other.
And so they don't talk to one another.
They have 27 different CIOs. And so when you think about making great medical discoveries, you have to connect the data.
Time out. You said 27 different chief information officers?
This is the kind of dumb stuff the government do. If you look at any organization, they may have maybe 3 different CIO, depending on how big the company is. But you need that one, you need to have a unified vision. And you have to have interconnection, intercommunications. And it seems like literally the government will create silos. You have 27 people doing the same job. That's inefficient. Especially if the workload isn't that big to divide amongst 27 people. This is what corporations understand inherently. This is why layoffs, when they go, we're downsizing, we're restructuring the company. This is what corporations do. The government never do this, and this is how it gets so big and bloated. This is how it gets so inefficient. This is how you end up over hiring certain people. And then when Donald Trump comes in and he does the restructuring of the government, he sees, damn, we got 27 people doing the same job that could be done maybe by 3 or 4 people. And this is how you get these mass firings. Show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. The government is literally incentivized to waste our money.
Correct.
And most of them are non-technical.
So there's a lot there.
There's a lot of opportunity. It will make science better, not worse.
And when I say that our job is tech support, I really mean it.
Yeah.
We have to fix the computers. If the computers can't talk to each other, you can't get research done. If the computers can't stay online, people won't receive their Social Security. So what we have here are a bunch of failing computer systems that are preventing people from receiving their benefits, that are preventing people from preventing research from happening, that are extremely vulnerable to fraud, and we're fixing it.
And does that include AI? Does that include kind of changing the system overall? That's, I guess, what people are afraid of, is they don't know what this is all looking like, and is it going to affect me in the long term?
It's going to affect them. It's going to affect people very positively. So the changes that we're doing here will ensure the solvency of the American government, of the United States of America. This is what this.
Here, I'll put it this way, and I'll end off the video here. If they're able to update the systems, right? What traditionally happens with Social Security is when someone dies, their death has to be notified to Social Security. I believe so, right? And maybe in some cases, the Social Security are able to receive the death certificate and find out, oh, this individual passed away, stop giving them the funds. But, you know, that communication never always is that it doesn't consistently happen. There could be someone can drop the ball, lose the paperwork, forget something because everything is manually driven. Now, what Elon Musk is trying to do is digitize everything. Okay, your death certificate, digitization, it gets put into a system. That system communicates to other government applications, and other government applications finds out, oh, hey, a new event happened. So-and-so passed away. Oh, okay, mark him as deceased here. And eventually it gets to the Social Security system, and the computer goes, oh, this person's deceased now. Therefore, we shouldn't be sending them any money. And automation automatically cut off his money. They don't funnel the money anywhere. They don't put it in, and that's it. And this is the kind of review, this is the kind of process I think Elon Musk is trying to make to create an efficient and solvent government. And the fact that we have such a manual process, the fact that we keep a bankload of all these things in paper in a cave somewhere, it boggles the mind. We're in a digital age where people can wire money with numbers on a screen, and the government is still using paper and having to hire people to manually review the cabinets. Hey, can you go to this file for so-and-so and designate him as a deceased? Okay. Between the time you told that operator to go find out, it's too much of a big data set to go to look through all that stuff. But if everything's digitized, all you have to do is go on a website, whatever confidential website they got, search up the person's Social Security number, go on his profile, marked as deceased, Social Security, no more money for this person. No more money should be credited to an account on behalf of this person because he passed away. And this is what we're talking about. And Democrats have the goal to go against this. This is what I'm saying. The only way you can defend this is somehow you benefit from this, right? With all this manual process, all these points of failure, it gives opportunities for someone to use and abuse the system. And this is what the efforts of DOGE is trying to prevent. And I think that if a lot of Americans see this, 15, 30-minute interview, I think people will come away with this, okay, I can get behind this. And this is why the media, I think the liberal media specifically, is trying so hard to take a dump on this interview because they don't want them to rehab this image, because the Democrats and the liberal media work very hard to get people to see DOGE as chaotic, right? Not understanding what they're doing, lack of transparency. But if you go on X, you know, hey, DOGE is transparent. But not a lot of people, not a lot of Americans, not a lot of people in the world are on X. So this is an effective way to get people to understand, hey, this is the purpose of DOGE. This is what we're trying to do. Here's the outcomes we're trying to go. On record, I'm telling you, I'm gonna make your systems better. That's a proposition I think many Americans can get behind. But hey, what say you? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How you feel and how you taking this interview from DOGE. You think this was a smart idea? Do you think that it was good to, kind of push back on this narrative that the media is trying to put out there? I'd like to hear your thoughts and perspective in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate you guys watching this in the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.